Howdy, friends. It's about 4:30 in the morning or so. It's Saturday, and it's really Sunday at this point. No better time to hit record, I suppose. So, been going through some memories here in the last couple of days. I don't know really why. This is a bit probably unrelated to anything that's going on. There's because a lot of things going on. Excited to be playing a show with the Varsity Theater in Carbondale next Saturday, January 25th, with Lucas Wayne and the Cottonmouths and Old Moose, two amazing songwriters, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us there. Also excited about the Little Grassy Songwriter Retreat, going to be happening February 28th through March 2nd at Touch of Nature. So I'll post links to all these in the comments. And I'll talk more about those over the next few days too. But really great events and worth checking out. And I'll be looking forward to talking about more of those, the elements of those events. For whatever reason, yesterday, we're driving around and reflected upon some of the more small elements of going to prison 15 years ago. And sometimes when staying up late and by myself, and I indulging a bit on whatever, I guess I do go into some of those places. Occasionally I've resulted in some late night texts to people that's probably pretty annoying, and I can understand that. So I try to avoid that kind of thing. So I guess I'm talking here into the camera. And so I was thinking about prior to going into prison, after it was all said and done, that was going to be how it was going to go. I remember like Googling on my flip phone first days in prison and things like that, and different things, and trying to get an idea. At the time, I was spending a lot of time at the mall in Carbondale. I had worked there as a part-time job earlier, but wound up kind of being stuck there a little bit for most days, and I wound up going to the mall bar and spending some time, and that was okay. It was a place that nobody really knew me at all, and I could kind of be invisible there. And there's a place called Garfield's. Nice people, nice bartenders. I think they had a deal on Miller Lite bottles for $2 or something, or buck 25 or something like that. Cheap, easy to be there. Nobody knew me. I just was some guy, and I enjoyed that. I remember one time though, there was a guy reading the nightlife. That was the Carbondale paper that talked about nightlife events and music and different things. This is back in 2009. So musical events and other things going on around town, some political information, and just other stuff about organizations and things. A pretty fun newspaper to pick up every week, And there was an article about me and my upcoming stuff, and there was somebody in there reading it, and I was sitting a couple of stools down from the bar watching them reading this article and just kind of hoping they wouldn't look up and have any kind of recognition. But they didn't, so that was cool. But anyway, that would be the home base for a little bit. And for a brief time there was a band with my friends Bornabor Bustos and Greg Edwards called the Family Stump, and we would play a regular gig at Boobies before they closed down. They've since opened back up and have live music. But back then they were still doing some things. I think we had a regular Wednesday night or Tuesday night gig there. So I'd walk from the mall all the way up there sometimes, and I'd have somebody in the band be able to transport my guitar and other equipment, and I just make the hike and walk, and that was kind of wild because I had my license suspended for a time at that time. But anyway, as time is counting down, I was fortunate enough to be able to self-surrender to the prison and not be waiting in the county jail to be transported there. They just assumed, I guess, I would show up, and it was just a cheaper thing to do, to have people who were sentenced and had their dates confirmed. And I remember it was a kind of a wild thing for my mother to get the mail that was coming. At the time, it was my mail was coming to my folks' place, even though I was in Carbondale and they were out of Harrisburg way, and got the letter to say where I was going to be reporting for my prison sentence, and opened it up and it said USP Leavenworth, and that was a surreal feeling because I really thought I was going to go to the Marion prison, which was just 15 miles away, and instead it was going to be Leavenworth, Kansas, which is a very historic place, with gangsters back in the day, Machine Gun Kelly type folks, and even Al Capone and a number of different people, notorious folks in the past went to Leavenworth, Kansas. That was a place, and it was a very strange thing. And I heard, as my mother was reading the information to me, okay, well, in 2 weeks you have to go to Leavenworth, Kansas. Oh my goodness, and it was a very strange thing, but that's how it went. So the days, click down, and you start thinking about, like, okay, 1 week from now, I will be in that place. I will not be this next coming Monday will not be here, and it will be in a very foreign land, and that I didn't have a lot of understanding of, or a lot of people around to say what that was going to be like or what I should expect, and the whole time as well. The folks were making the Confidence Man movie, the documentary about my situation and the band Woodbox Gang. That what we had done. It was Stace England, Bob Strite, and Dan Johnson. They made the movie, and so I did a couple of interviews and things, and they were getting all that stuff together. Interviews, before I was going to be gone away, and I don't really think I did very well in those interviews as far as talking about the situation. I felt still very reserved and not wanting to say very much. And so, not because of any other reason other than it was really just kind of surreal, and I didn't know what all I could say. Everything felt like it was a different kind of a world, like a movie or something, or a story about someone else. And I was afraid to be very open and honest because it all felt so strange and surreal. But I did that, and so the expectation is that on the way out there that we would do some filming. So it was Alex and our friend Mike, the two of them took me out there. We drove the I-70 out, and I remember I guess it was my request, we stopped at a casino in Kansas City, and it was almost one of those things where it's like, well, you're not going to say no, my last hurrah out in the world before I'm locked away for a bit. And but it didn't turn out to be any kind of wild thing. Played some blackjack and some slots, and probably lost $50 or something like that. not really anything too crazy, and everybody was kind of just like ready to go. And we got a room down the road in Leavenworth, which is not terribly far from Kansas City. And then we tried to do some more filming in the hotel room that night. And we'd gotten some beers and probably ordered some pizza to the room and stuff like that. And, but hanging out, and we're making some, we're all, I think that we had 3 different cameras. We were trying to film each other, but it was all that kind of shaky, um, too into your cups to do anything that made, for any great footage. It was just kind of obnoxious. Uh, it's kind of funny to think that the the whole deal was like the trope of, the guy's trip going to Vegas. We're gonna get crazy. Vegas isn't ready for us, and you just kind of, you know, you go lose some money in a casino, and then you get to your room and order food and watch Girls Gone Wild or something, and then pass out from beers, and just kind of sad, and or not even sad, but just not crazy. And so that's kind of how it was. We didn't do that. We just uh, drunkenly filmed each other for unusable footage. And then the next morning, you wake up, and I have to report to the prison that morning to get there. And so we get up early enough. I didn't sleep very well. And we went to a diner, a restaurant, had some breakfast. I remember I had some biscuits and gravy. They were pretty tasty. It was a nice joint. It was cool diner kind of a place. And they would think, well, okay, it's a half hour. I have to be there in a half hour. And so it was a pretty chilly day. This was October 27th, 2009. Day I'll always remember. And I was like, well, I guess maybe I should just walk up here and see what's what. And there was a guard there. I said, hey, I'm supposed to report to prison today. He's like, okay, well, I'll call up there, just, hang out. And so Alex and Mike kind of came walking up. I was wearing my leather jacket, it was chilly. And so they started kind of walking up too, and walk a little closer. And the guard's like, well, okay, that's close enough, fellas, to Mike and Alex. And Alex, I think, said, let's take your coat. Like, okay, that's probably a good idea. And Mike said, okay, we'll see you in 34 months. And I made a quick hug or handshake. I can't remember what it was, honestly. It's kind of silly. But it was like I was whisked away at that point. And so these 2 young guards came out to meet me there at the gate, and we walked up. And you kind of tell, there's an instant, quick feeling. You're regarded not as a citizen anymore. You're regarded as um, a ward or a commodity in the place. And so go into this room, and immediately strip off all of your clothes, and we're gonna inspect every crevice of you, and to make sure you're not bringing in any contraband. And after they did that process, I mean, this was literally within 5 minutes of telling my buddies, I'll see you and talk to you here soon, hopefully. And you're putting on some clothes that aren't yours, and like an orange or a yellow kind of a jumpsuit. And I don't know if it said FBOP on it, Federal Bureau of Prisons. They asked, do you want us to throw your clothes away, or donate them to a local charity, or have them shipped back to you or to your family? And I just remember thinking, that sounds like a lot of trouble to ship things. So just donate them. And I met a guy later, I mean, this is months in to it, who opted for having his clothes shipped back to his wife, and they apparently like dumped a whole trash can in the box as well. That was full of like used tissues and things. I was like, that was not the right choice to have your clothes shipped back, and there was retribution for it because it was just extra work to do. And so I guess somebody got my clothes, and I was glad that I didn't walk in there with my leather jacket. But after that, they take your picture and give you an ID. I still have the prison ID, and they sent me into a holding cell with another guy and said, "Here, put this mask on." And it was a mask like you would mow your yard in, but a lot of people wore those during COVID and stuff because this was the height of the swine flu fear, and there was this fear of swine flu, and so it's like, all right, you came out from the world, we don't know if you have swine flu or not, put this mask on. And so they sent me into his holding cell with a mask on, and another older fellow was in the same room, and he'd taken his mask off. It was around his chin, and they yelled at him, "Hey, put your mask back on." And he did, and so I wound up talking to that guy for a while, and we actually were friends for the whole duration of his sentence in there. He was in there for some tax fraud situation, and very nice guy though, and also a new experience for him. And while you're sitting there, it's like hours and all, and you just don't have any control over what's going on or what's going to happen next. And they called him out to get his medical information and all that, and he had a number of different things to go through. And they sent him back into the room, and then they called me out to go over my medical information. I had nearly none, and so it was a very quick thing. And I remember one of the young guards who initially brought me in hollered at me, and it's like, "Hey, is that other cracker still in there with you?" And it was an interesting way to be spoken to, and in that sort of way, that it's like you are no longer among the free people. You were now a different kind of a person, and that's how you're supposed to feel. And I, can talk more. Ultimately, just every process being so long, taking so long, and just wearing you down, and marching down to the hole, where stayed for a week or two, before being able to go into the main population. They say it's for, making sure you're okay, and or disease free, but allegedly it's really to show you that this is solitude. And even though I was in there with another guy, in a tiny room, two of us in there together for a couple of weeks, that if you mess up in the main population, you get to go back there. And that's the thing they try to drill into you, that you're lucky to get to go to have a little bit more freedom in the main population, in the main prison that you're going to. And if you screw that up, you're going to come back into this tiny cell to exist in, where time doesn't mean anything. It stops, and it makes you go crazy. But anyhow, it was kind of interesting to be reflecting on that stuff from 15 years ago. I'm very glad it's behind me, but maybe I'll talk more about some things as I reflect on them, and if this is interesting to anybody, and I'll talk more, I bet. So thanks for hanging out for this 20-minute video. Appreciate it.